Me over here jamming this morning. Hello, good morning, everybody. Hey, hey. Good morning. It's Thursday. Happy Thursday morning, everybody. Did everybody have a good night last night? Did everybody stay warm? Hey, Michelle. Michelle's working and lurking. Good morning, Gail. Look at this. Like all my people in the chat almost rhyme. Michelle, Gail, and Kel. Good morning. Yes, please hit that thumbs up button on your way in. Thank you very much. I would appreciate it. Good morning, Morgana. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Sherry. Hi, guys. Hello. Good morning, Margaret. Did you get out of bed on the right side this morning? Put one foot in front of the other. It's been a while since we've said that, huh, Margaret? Good morning, you guys. Good morning. Hey, Henny. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Margaret, I know, honey. I know. I don't know. I can't say I know because I don't know. But I do know that you want us to help you get your mind off of them today. Hopefully we can do just that. Michelle comes in and throws Pepsi and speed pills into the chat to keep everybody awake. Hubby has norovirus. No, so I'll be in and out today. Oh, no. He's in rough shape. Oh, no. Lysolin and Cloroxing everything. Yeah, Morgana's throwing gloves and masks your way. Do the thing where you send him food, like crack the door open and like football throw him, a can of soup and a can opener and say eat it room temperature. I don't know. Like, don't even heat it up. Just throw it at him and say, here, get better. Seriously, though, I hope he feels better soon. And I hope you don't get anything. He's sitting in his recliner in the middle of the living room. Okay, well, it is what it is. We have one bathroom. Oh, my God. Right, Morgana. He's probably not eating anything right now. Wow. You guys, straight out of the gate, we have one of the daughters on the stand this morning. The defense is starting their case. State rested yesterday in the West Virginia v. Natalie Cochran trial. Just Sprite for now. That's a good call. Good call. Maybe some crackers, some saltines. What is it they call that? It's got initials. Some kind of diet when you're trying to like. What is that? The brat diet? Bananas, rice. I don't remember. Toast. Is it bananas, rice? Applesauce and toast? Okay, yeah. Margaret, there we go. Applesauce and toast, yeah. So, anyway, yeah, we are on day 6, and the daughter is testifying, not the one we've seen in the gallery. It's a younger daughter, I think. Um, and bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. There we go. There we go. The thing, though, for me, like, bananas upset my belly, period. Bananas upset my belly. Yeah, Michelle. I'm sorry. Bananas, they actually give me a belly ache. Bananas do. It's the weirdest thing. You wouldn't think that they would, but they do. They give me a belly ache. Like, they actually make my stomach hurt. All right. Let's get started. I have a cup of coffee that's brewing, and I want to run in there and grab it while it's nice and hot. Oh, and I have to let the dog in too. The dog is outside using the potty. So, I will be right back.
Good morning, all. We continue in the trial of State of West Virginia versus Natalie Cochran. This is case number 23-F-343K. All parties are present, including the defendant. As counsel is aware, Mr. Selden has been stricken by an illness. He is indisposed today. He may be joining us this afternoon or perhaps tomorrow, but he will not be here this morning for certain. I have to confirm with Ms. Cochran on the record that she is comfortable with going forward with one of her attorneys absent. And I ask you directly, Ms. Cochran, is this agreeable with you? Can you go forward with Mr. Victor handling matters in Mr. Selden's absence?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you waive the presence of Mr. Selden, at least for today's purposes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
And I would ask that it be announced to the jury, Your Honor, so the jury will notice the absence of...
Indeed, I will. I will certainly do that. All right, are there any other matters that we need to take up out of the presence of the jury?
State would ask that the equipment be turned on. We anticipate using it today.
Let's do that right away.
Thank you. A no-look shot. Thanks, sir.
Yes, bring in the jury, please. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Good morning. I hope you enjoyed your chicken biscuits this morning. I got them a little early, and I didn't realize that they might be somewhat cold by the time you were served, but a cold chicken biscuit is better than none, right? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Well, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for your service, and thank you for being here promptly. The weather is not cooperating. It's freezing cold out there, and you folks are great to be here when you're supposed to. You're very patient and very cooperative. I need to explain to you, we don't have Mr. Selden here this morning. He was stricken with a minor illness yesterday evening. He's going to be okay, but he's indisposed right now. He will not be here this morning. He may be able to join us this afternoon if he feels better, and hopefully he will be here tomorrow. So we will miss him, but just put that out of your mind and don't consider his absence at all in terms of the case. And Mr. Victor will certainly take the lead and proceed on behalf of the defendant. All right, we yesterday evening learned that the state had rested their case, and as I explained to you, they completed the presentation of the state's evidence. Now it is the defense turn to present whatever evidence they would care to proceed with. We will start without further ado with the defense case, and I will ask Mr. Victor to please call his first witness.
The defense will call Brianna Hawley.
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat right there.
Okay.
All right, if you'll kind of pull that microphone up close, please.
Okay.
Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hawley, would you please state your name for the record, please?
It is Brianna Michelle Hawley.
What do you do for a living, ma'am?
I'm a registered nurse.
Okay. Let me, without any further ado, invite your attention to about 2016 or 2017. What was your profession at that time?
I was a school nurse. I done PRN. I worked at the Beckley VA Medical Center full time, but I did do PRN as a school nurse for Raleigh County Schools.
Okay. Do you know Jennifer Davis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know her husband, Christopher Davis?
I know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they had a child, they have a child by, I will just use the initials, GD. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. That child was attending school where you were a nurse, right?
Correct.
Was this child afflicted with any type of medical problems?
Yes, sir.
What was this child afflicted with?
He had diabetes.
Okay. Type 1?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Since you were a nurse, it's a pretty serious condition.
Very much so.
Does that require, what does it require, the treatment of it or maintenance of it?
So this particular child had an insulin pump to where you can program and it would automatically give insulin. And to the best of my knowledge at that time, he had a continuous glucose monitor, which is also called a CGM.
Okay.
So as a nurse, I would, monitor, provide insulin based off what he ate, and just monitor his care based off his blood sugar.
Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Natalie Cochran?
Natalie is my husband's first cousin.
Okay. Was there a time when Ms. Davis asked you, or at least advised you, what to do in case of any problems with her child's diabetes?
Yes, sir. In case that I could never get a hold of Jennifer or Chris, then Natalie could be a backup for any questions, concerns, or anything like that.
Natalie Cochran?
Natalie Cochran, yes, sir.
And would she be, why was she selected to be the backup plan for the Davises?
My understanding is because they were friends, and Natalie helped Jennifer during his time of his new diagnosis, because she better understood it, and she was, helped with the plan of care.
Could she administer the medication to this
I
child?
mean, I'm sure she could. It was through an insulin pump. It was not a syringe, but I'm sure she could have.
Okay. So she was the person empowered by, well, at least selected by the Davises to be a person who would treat this child or help this child in moment of need as far as his diabetes.
So, I mean, as far as my understanding, yes. It's been so many years ago, I don't know if there is paperwork, but that was my understanding with Jennifer, that Natalie could be a backup.
That's all the questions I have.
All right, cross-examination.
State has no questions, Your Honor, thank you.
Very well. May this witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
So far as the state's concerned, yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Hawley. You may step down. You are excused. Call your next witness, please, Mr. Victor.
Nicole Cochran.
Who was that last witness, guys? I completely missed her this morning.
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may have a seat right there.
Would you state your name for the record?
Nicole Cochran.
Ms. Cochran, you have to speak up.
Nicole Cochran.
Louder.
Nicole Cochran.
If you could, just scoot up a little bit closer to the mic, and that'll help.
Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes.
How do you
Yes.
know her?
She's my mother.
She's your mother. So you've known her all your life, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to invite your attention to, let's say year 2017, somewhere around that area. Who lived in your house at that time?
My mother, my father, myself, and my brother.
Okay. Who is your father?
Michael Cochran.
And I just want you to use the initials only. Who is your brother?
MAC.
Okay, amazing. How old is he?
He's 17.
So, about 5 or 6 years ago, he would have been what? 12, 13?
Yes.
What was your mother's job?
She was a pharmacist.
Okay. Where did she work?
She worked at Access Health.
Okay. Was there a time when she quit being a pharmacist?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the year?
I believe somewhere between 2016 and 2017, I was in middle school.
Okay. What did your father do for a living?
He worked with technology.
What does that mean?
I'm not entirely sure.
Work with computers?
Yes.
Okay. What was, what was the purpose of working with the computers? Do you know? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did your mother and your father ever establish any business?
Yes.
What type of business or businesses did they have in 2016, 17, 18? Do you know?
Technology Management Solutions and Tactical Solutions Group.
Okay. The first business, what did it deal with? Do you know?
It was a form of federal contracts, I believe, that my father would do for technology purposes.
That your father would do, said?
Yes.
Okay. What type of contracts are we talking about?
I believe they were federal and state.
Okay. What were they doing in plain terms? Buying, selling, what were they doing?
To my knowledge, they were buying technology and reselling them, I believe. But
And
I'm
what?
not,
Speak up.
sorry, I believe that they were buying technology and like reselling them through bids for the government, but I'm not entirely sure on the specifics.
Okay. Did you ever witness your father prepare any contracts?
I never saw them, but I always saw him working on his computer, and he would say that that's what he was doing,
Say that he was doing what?
that he was filling out contracts.
Okay. Did your mother do that?
No.
Did your father ever talk to you about his job or his work?
All he would say is that he was doing contracts with the government, but he would never go into too many specifics with me.
Okay. Did you have a nice lifestyle in 2016, 17, 18?
Yes.
Tell us about your lifestyle at that time.
I would say that we were pretty wealthy. In that time frame, my father had just gotten a new car,
Okay.
and we had some new boats.
Some what?
Some new boats,
Boats?
and there was talk about buying a hangar for a plane.
Whose plane was it?
It was Chris Davis's plane, but I believe my father eventually wanted to have his own.
Okay. How about motorcycles? Your father had some, didn't he?
He always had one motorcycle, but during that time we bought some new ATVs.
Okay, ATVs. How about that 65 Cobra that we heard so much about?
Yes, that was his new car.
That was his new car. How many houses did you guys have?
We had one that we resided in, and then my father had bought and renovated a house for Chris Davis's aunt, and then we were putting an offer in on a new house for ourselves in Flat Top.
Okay. Did your father also buy an office?
Yes.
Where was that?
It was in Beckley, close towards the park and the Armory, like down that way.
Was life good at that time? Money was pouring in
Financially, yes.
financially. Did you guys take any exotic trips? No, exotic.
We went to Paris, and
Who is we?
my mother, my father, myself, and my brother, I got asked on a school trip, so they all came as well.
Okay. And whenever you talk about your brother, please use the initials, okay? All right. How long did you spend in Paris?
We were there for 2 weeks, I believe.
Did you spend a lot of money there?
Yes, my dad wanted to shop a lot.
Okay. What did he shop for?
He mostly wanted to go to luxury stores,
Such as
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. Okay. And did you guys go to Hawaii too?
Yes, but that was when I was in 5th grade, so
Oh, okay.
it was years.
Who paid for that, by the way? I mean, who went? All right, who went to Hawaii?
My mother, my father, myself, and MAC.
Okay. And how long did you stay in Hawaii?
I believe it was a week.
Okay. All right. Did you, in about 2017, 18, 19, did you do some extraordinary things that involved a lot of money?
I would say the new purchases of the cars and the boats and things would be the main circumstances.
Okay. Where was the money coming from? Do you know?
My father always said that it was the contracts, so I just never assumed anything differently.
Okay. I want to ask you something about, well, did your father ever let you know what was happening on his computer, what he was doing? Was he ever telling you what he was working on other than the contracts?
No, he only ever referred to them as the federal and state contracts.
Okay. Was he secretive about it?
With me, yes, I would say.
Okay. I want to ask you about your father's health. Was there a time in 2000, well, from the, let's say 2015, 16, when you were in middle school, how was your father doing, health-wise?
He was very agitated and irritated mentally, and he was having a lot of headaches, I would say.
Was he always like that?
No.
No, I'm asking you right now about 2015, 16.
Oh.
Was he normal? Was he abnormal? What?
In that time, he was normal, I would say.
What did he do for fun?
He worked out a lot, and he would participate in like tough man competitions.
He won one, didn't he?
He got 6th place and won at the fair.
Oh. Did he pull a tractor one day or something like that?
He pulled a Hummer, like a military vehicle.
In a competition?
Yes.
Did he win?
No. That was the 6th place.
So that's a really good question, Gail. Gail says, did she ever see her mom spending money? And when she said that a while ago about luxury stores like Louis Vuitton is where he liked to go, my brain was like, I mean, do men really care about Louis Vuitton? I don't know. I'm thinking that's where mom liked to go. You know? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that was the 6th place. Did he ever want to be a bodybuilder? Or was he a bodybuilder?
I would say that he considered himself to be, but he never participated in competitions such as that.
Oh, he did. Okay. Did he work out a lot?
Yes.
Did he care about his outward appearance, the physique?
Yes, it mattered a lot to him.
How about the image? Did he care about that a lot?
I believe so.
How so?
He would never leave the house without being fully, like, perfect, I would say. And he wanted everyone to think that he was perfect in a sense and strong, I would say.
Okay. Are you familiar with his medication taking?
Yes.
What was he taking his medication for?
Most of what he took was for gaining muscle, like for working out supplements and things.
Okay. What type of medication was he taking? Do you know?
I know that he took steroids, and he took many other supplements, but I don't know the names of the supplements.
Well, tell us how he did that daily. Did he do it daily?
Yes, every morning.
Every morning. How did he do that?
He would lay all of his pills out on the counter, and there would be so many of them that they would just sit in a whole circle, and it looked like the size of a dinner plate. And then he would scoop them handfuls at a time into his mouth and use the sink water to drain them down. And then he would take the steroids as well.
How many pills were there? Just roughly.
Probably around 40 a day.
And you don't know what they were?
No, I remember a lot of them he got from GNC in the mall.
Okay. Where else did he get them from? Do you know?
He said that he ordered his steroids from Mexico, but I don't know the specifics on the other ones.
He never explained anything else about that Mexico.
No, at first he didn't really want my brother and I to know, but we eventually realized what they were, and he told us.
What were those pills?
They were vials of steroids that he would get from Mexico.
And what would he do with that?
He would take them through a dropper, usually, in the mornings.
Did he ever inject?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But you saw him use the medication orally and Well, he used the dropper, and what did he do with the dropper?
He would just put them in. He would put them in his mouth.
Okay, so that would be also oral.
Yes.
oral. In about 2017, did you start noticing any changes in your father's health?
Yes.
What did you notice?
He was very agitated.
At that time, Gail,
and
she was
angry,
about 13.
More so than not. And he was having a lot of headaches.
At that time, she was about 13 years old when this was going on. Let me double check. I'm counting. Yeah, she was about 13. In my head, I'm thinking a 13-year-old girl probably wouldn't have figured out that it was steroids. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And he would complain about them frequently. And he wasn't eating as much as he used to.
Did he have back surgery in 2017? Do you remember?
I'm not entirely sure when he had back surgery, but I remember him having it.
Okay. How long did he stay in the hospital for that? Or was it an outpatient?
For the back surgery, I'm not sure.
Okay. Did he like to go to hospitals?
No, he hated them.
What did he tell you about these hospitals?
He considered them to be a waste of his time and that he never wanted to be in one again.
Was there ever a time that he had to go to the hospital in 2018, if you recall?
Yes,
He went there for one day at the end of October 2018.
I believe so, yes.
Do you know what prompted his going to the place where he apparently hated, such as the hospitals?
The doctors, I believe, thought that he had a brain tumor.
Okay.
I'm not sure what led for him to be there, like the
Well,
symptoms.
what did he complain about the time when he first went to the hospital in October of 2018?
I believe it was the headaches
Headaches,
and some dizziness, maybe.
dizziness. Did he ever lose consciousness?
Not in my presence that I'm aware of.
Do you know of him losing consciousness?
I believe it did happen. He got very dizzy and then just got really out of it.
He came back later that day or the next day, but then he had to go to the hospital on November the 2nd, right?
Yes,
What was wrong with him then?
I believe it was the same thing.
He stayed 5 days in the hospital?
I believe so, yes.
Did you visit him in the hospital?
Yes.
Obviously. What did you observe when you were in the hospital?
He seemed kind of out of it, but he was actually really nice. He said some kind things to my brother and I, because he didn't think he would get another chance to.
Is that what he told you?
He told me that he always appreciated my intelligence and that he never told me that, but he wanted me to know it now just in case he never got to say it again.
Did you take it as a farewell to life for him?
I've always considered that to be kind of like my goodbye.
Okay. But he pulled through and he came home, right?
Yes.
And how did he act and behave after he came back to came back home?
He acted like it never took place, but he was still very angry all the time, and he was still having the same symptoms as before.
Headaches,
Yes, and the dizziness.
dizziness. Did it ever go away?
Not to my knowledge.
In January of 2019, shortly before his death, how did he behave?
He was kind of acting crazy.
All right,
He was very upset and angry all the time.
okay. Was he forgetful?
Yes,
What would he forget?
just little things throughout the day, like what he was doing or things like that. The date.
Did he appear to be in any discomfort?
He complained about the headaches a lot, and I believe that irritability was a symptom of his discomfort.
Okay. Did he ever go to sleep and stayed asleep for a long period of time?
He was always asleep before I left for school, and he would sleep in usually.
Okay. Approaching February of 2019, did his condition improve or did it get worse? Or did it stay the same?
I would say as time went by, it continued to worsen.
Tell us how from your own observations.
As I've mentioned, just how agitated and irritable and the headaches, they just continued to increase more and more, it seemed like.
Did anybody in your family suggest that he go back to the hospital or a doctor or seek medical help or advice?
Many around him were concerned for him.
And was there a suggestion that he go to the hospital?
I'm not sure, but I remember several people wanted him to stop taking his steroids.
Oh, was he taking steroids at that time?
Yes,
Still a plate full of steroids?
a plate full of the medications and then the vials of the steroids.
Okay. And he was still receiving some of those steroids from Mexico, I take it?
Yes,
And he was taking those vials with the pills?
yes,
And he still worked out?
yes, pretty frequently.
Could he work out with all those headaches?
I believe that he still went to the gym, but I don't know the intensity of the workouts as compared to before.
Okay. Was there a time in February, right before February the 6th, that you believe that he felt the worst?
Yes,
What was the, was there any new condition or all the conditions that he had so far worsened? What was happening?
they were worsening, and his appetite was continuing to decrease.
So he wouldn't eat?
He would not eat as much as he used to.
Okay. And yet he took the steroids and whatever substances he was using?
Yes,
Anabolics? Was he ever using anabolics? Do you know?
I'm not really sure what anabolics are.
Okay. Do you know any names of the substances that he was using?
No, but I know what they look like.
Okay. Where did he keep those substances?
Above the place on the counter where he would take his medicine, we had 2 cabinets. We had one that was for all of our prescription meds for the family, and his were in there. And then he had a larger cabinet filled with protein powders, supplements, and the boxes of the steroids.
He had his own cabinet?
Yes,
Did anybody have access to that cabinet?
Yes, we could open it, but we knew not to take any of his things.
You couldn't touch any of his things, right?
Yes, unless he told us we could, like for protein powder or something.
Okay. The day before your father collapsed, how did he feel? Do you recall that day?
He was still feeling all the symptoms, the irritability, the headaches, the dizziness, the lack of appetite. But at that point, it just kind of seemed like a normal thing because he had been feeling them for so long.
Was he forgetful more than usual?
Yes, I would say that continued to happen.
What did he forget then? What did he forget?
He
To
would
do things? To what?
Yes, to do things, and he would forget about saying certain things, or I'm trying to remember specifics, sorry.
Okay.
um,
The day before your father collapsed was also the day when your mother went to a doctor, right?
yes,
What was wrong with your mother?
I believe she was sick.
What was she sick with? Do you know?
I think that she was throwing up, if I remember correctly.
That she was doing what? Speak
Sorry.
up.
I think that she was throwing up, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
She wasn't exactly a model of health either, was she?
No,
What was wrong with her?
she had been in like cancer. She had had cancer.
Well, did she have any problems with her heart?
Yes,
Was she on some type of device that is attached to her
yes,
to monitor her heart rate and all of that?
yes,
She is still on it until today, isn't she?
yes,
All right. Well, when she had those heart problems, she went to all kinds of doctors, right?
yes,
And there was a suggestion that she may be afflicted with cancer at one point, right?
yes.
Do you know whether she went to Cleveland Clinic for that?
Yes, I believe that was the name of it.
Did they reject her for lack of insurance? Do you know?
I wasn't aware.
Okay. Do you know whether she went to Duke?
Yes,
Okay. And she was seeking cancer treatment from Duke? Is that what?
yes, they believe she had some type of blood cancer, I think.
Okay. Were you concerned about it?
Yes,
And of course you were concerned about it. Well, the day before your father collapsed, she went to a doctor, and what did the doctor do with her? Did he give her any medication? What do you know about that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. How was your mother acting the day before your father collapsed? How sick was she, to your knowledge?
I believe she was pretty sick.
Okay. You said she was throwing up?
Yes,
Did she have a fever?
I'm not sure
Did
about.
she stay in bed?
Yes, that wasn't uncommon though with the cancer for her.
All right. She was supposed to fly to Virginia the next day, right? Did you know anything about that?
I can't recall.
Okay. How did she feel the next day when you woke up? How did your mother feel the next day?
I believe she was still pretty sick.
Okay. All right. When you came and you went to school that day, right?
Yes.
And your brother also went to school, right?
Yes.
When you came home, who was at your residence?
My mother and the Hamiltons.
Okay. Anybody else? Did you recall?
I believe it was just them when I came home, but I'm not entirely sure.
Did anybody else show up later?
Yes.
Who was that?
Mr. Treadway, Chris Davis came, and then my Aunt Penny, I believe.
Okay. All right. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the decision was made to do what with your father? Well, let me strike that. Your father was asleep?
Yes.
Did he snore?
Yes.
Okay. That was similar to the first time when he went to the hospital in November, right?
Have a good day at work, Kel. Hey, Brenda.
I believe so.
But in November he
Hi,
woke up. Right?
Brenda.
Yes.
Okay. So now he is asleep, he's on the couch, right?
Yes.
About 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, what time did you get home, by the way?
We rode the bus, so it was probably around 2:45 and 3.
Okay. And around 4 o'clock, it was decided he was going to the hospital.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Was your father a happy man?
No.
When was the happiest that you ever saw him?
When we had money. When he believed he was going to get paid, I would say.
What was Natalie's reaction after Michael passed away?
She was very distraught.
Would it be a fair statement that Natalie loved Michael with all her heart?
Yes.
Right? That's all the questions I have of this witness.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Honor. Ms. Cochran, you've had a very tough last few years. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
When you went from trips to Paris, trips to Hawaii, to having to move out of your house, that has been very hard on you, hasn't it?
Yes.
In 2019, in February 2019, what grade were you in?
8th grade.
8th grade. Okay, and you were how old?
12 or 13.
Okay. Did you always take the bus, or did one of your parents or somebody else take you to school?
Usually my mother would take me to school.
Okay. And then you and your brother would ride the bus home?
It just depended on the day.
So sometimes she would come and pick you up?
Yes.
Was there anybody else that transported you?
Sometimes my babysitters would pick us up from school.
Okay. And what school did your brother go to at that time?
I believe we both went to Shady Middle.
Okay. Have you met with this gentleman right here, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Did he interview you? Did he take, what are you going to say? Did he ask you that?
He asked me about questions during that time.
Okay. Did he record anything from you or write anything down? Information you gave him?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Your Honor, under Rule 612, if the defense has a statement of this witness, we'd like it, please.
All right. Is there a statement, Mr. Victor? Would you confer with your investigator?
No, Your Honor. The only time my investigator talked to this witness was in our office.
Does he have any notes from that? Okay.
Wow.
You're in middle.
Well played. That was well played. That was well played, prosecutor. I like that. I like that. Yeah. He's like, there's a statement, I'd like to see it. What statement? We don't have a statement. We just met in our office. Oh, okay.
School, and you don't really know what your dad does for a living, but he told you he does something with contracts. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And your mom had left her job as a pharmacist how long before your dad started these contracts?
It was after.
She's a pretty girl.
Do you know when your mom
Feel
stopped
bad for
working
them,
as a pharmacist?
for the kids. Hey, Patricia.
I want to say I was in 7th grade, but I'm not entirely sure.
Fair enough. Do you know what your mom made as a pharmacist?
I know she made good money.
To you, that means what?
I believe it was over $80,000 a year.
And she left that job to do what for a living?
My father asked her to leave her job
To do what?
to stay at home and to assist him, but I
Do pharmacists not make a lot more than $80,000 a year?
never saw her do so.
So she had, as far as you know, she had nothing to do with your dad's businesses. Is that what you're saying?
I never saw her do anything, no.
Okay. And in fairness, you never really saw your dad do anything. He just said to you, I'm working on contracts.
I saw him constantly on his computer and making phone calls.
But you don't know what he was doing.
He told me that they were federal and state contracts.
Okay. And he said, I'm federal and state contracts? What did he say to you?
I am working on contracts.
I am working on contracts. And how many times did he tell you that?
He did it every day.
How many times did he tell you he did that?
Anytime I asked.
How many times did you ask him?
Frequently.
Frequently. Okay. So you're intimately involved with your dad's conversations over his contract. You don't know what he does for a living, but you know about him doing contracts. And your mom had nothing to do with that business as far as you know. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You're in college now?
Yes.
Where do you go to school?
Concord University.
Okay. What year are you?
It's my second year, but I'm considered a junior.
Okay. Well, your intelligence has been noted, so you're ahead of some of your incoming freshman class. What's your concentration? What's your major?
Accounting and finance.
Do you stress out over finals, or are you just so ahead of the game that that doesn't bother you at all?
I know how to study, so I just make sure I have enough time to do so.
Okay. You know some of your friends that don't take that approach and maybe get a little uneasy around finals time?
My friends are pretty similar to me, I would say.
So you wouldn't know anything about stress of finals or any of that stuff?
I understand stress, but I don't stress over finals usually.
Okay. You understand stress. Would it be fair to say that your dad was acting like a man who was under stress when you answered defense questions about how he was doing and feeling?
I would consider him agitated. Yes.
Agitated. Under stress?
I don't know the cause of the agitation.
Okay, fair enough. You went to school on the date that your dad collapsed at the normal time?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, what would the normal time be?
We would normally get to school around 7:15.
And from your house on 4H Lake Road to the school, how many minutes on a normal day would that be?
Probably 25 with school traffic.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty good. So you left your house at 10 to 7, something like that? Would that be about the normal time you would do that?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. And on the 6th of February, 2019, which is the date your dad collapsed, your mom took you to school, correct?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Somehow you got there. You don't quite remember. That was a long time ago. But you don't remember when you got there, but you did get to school. Yes?
Yes.
And you returned on the bus, and it's about, you don't specifically remember that day, but it was about 2:45. Is that right?
Likely, yes.
Okay. When you got to your house, where was your dad physically at that time?
He was on the couch.
And your mom was there, and who else was there when you got home from school?
My mother and the Hamiltons,
Both Hamiltons.
John and Stephanie, yes.
Okay. And did they stay for the rest of the evening, or did they leave shortly after you got home?
I believe they were there for a little while, but I'm not entirely sure on the specifics.
Fair enough. Who's Penny Carrico?
She's my aunt.
Did you call her that day and say, hey, we need some help?
I don't really remember that.
Okay. At some point, Penny Carrico came to your house, correct?
Yes.
This is not designed in any way to embarrass you, but were you present when your dad lost control of his bladder? Or had that already happened by the time you got there?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you help change your dad's clothes or anything?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's fine. You indicated that about 4 o'clock they took your dad to the hospital. Is that what you remember?
That seems right, yes.
Okay. If there's some information that it was actually a couple hours later than that, would you dispute that?
I wasn't very concerned with the time during that time.
Sure. Did Chris Davis come over to your house before they took your dad to the hospital?
I remember him being there, but I don't remember what time.
Who took care of you and your brother when your folks went to the hospital that day?
I don't remember that day who took us specifically, but I remember while he was in the hospital, we stayed with both of my grandparents on different circumstances and my aunt, I believe.
Same one we were talking about, Ms. Carrico?
Yes.
Okay. Were you present at your house when somebody decided we've got to take your dad to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, do you remember who else was in your house besides your mom and dad, you? Were the Hamiltons still there?
I remember many people were there, but I don't remember if they were still there or not.
Okay. You indicated Mr. Treadway was there.
I believe so, yes.
Were you actually present when your dad was taken to a car and they went to the hospital, or had you already left by then?
I think I was present.
Okay. Let's go back briefly to your dad's business, or what you describe as your dad's business. You know what his end of the was, but as far as you know, your mom had nothing to do with it. Is that what you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And so if there were bunches of messages where your mom was telling people, here's what's going on with the business, here's when you're going to get paid, can you invest in this, can you invest, those types of, you would know nothing about that. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Could I have just a moment, please, Your Honor?
Sure.
Who's that? What's your grandma or your mom's name?
Daphne.
What's her last name? I'm sorry.
Daphne Jessup.
Okay. Did she come over to your house that day while you were there?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know if your mom communicated with her by phone or text or anything?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So if a message went from your mom to your grandma that said, Nick and I are enjoying a little girl couch time at about 4 o'clock that evening, you wouldn't know anything about that?
I'm not sure.
Do you remember enjoying some girl time with your mom at 4 o'clock on February the 6th, 2019?
We both sat with my father. Yes.
That's all the questions the state has. Thank you.
May confer with counsel.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, redirect Ms. Victor.
In 2019, how old were you? Just give us some good math.
13, I believe.
On February the 6th, when your father was unconscious, I presume, or sleeping, or has already fell on the ground, were you concerned about who was in the house?
Not really.
Were you concerned about your father?
Yes.
Now, prosecutor asked you about asking your dad about the contracts or what he was doing. Would you agree with me that your father sometimes paid less attention to you than your brother?
Yes.
Would you say that you were perhaps that you were starved for his attention,
Yes.
and you wanted his attention by asking him first what the heck he was doing? Right?
Yes.
But he never really took the bait and never really talked to you about anything else other than giving you the answer, I'm working on the contracts, right?
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Can I ask one more?
Sure, go ahead.
I should have asked you this before, and I'm sorry, but you indicated that your dad was his happiest when he was getting money. Wouldn't it be when he thought he was going to get some money?
Can you restate the question?
You indicated that your dad was at his happiest when he was getting some money. Is that what you remember saying?
Yes.
Okay. Was he also happy when he thought he was going to be getting some money?
Yes.
That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Victor?
For a 13-year-old, did you understand the word investors?
Vaguely, I would say.
Did your father ever use that word, investors?
Yes.
What did he tell you about the investors, if you remember?
He would never say it to me directly, but he would just talk about paying the investors.
Paying the investor,
Yes.
okay? And even though you're now a future accounting genius, did you understand what he meant by that?
I would say fairly well, yes.
Well, what did you understand by that? Then,
That there were individuals investing in the company and he needed to pay them back.
okay? Did you ever see any documents that your father would show you? The company documents, the spreadsheets, anything that had to do with income and outlay of money.
I had seen him working on a spreadsheet, but I wasn't told what it was.
Okay, you don't remember the details, what was on those spreadsheets.
No, I wasn't allowed to really see a lot.
Why weren't you allowed to see?
We just didn't get along.
Your father wouldn't let you see what he was working on?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, that's all.
Anything further, Mr. Truman?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, may this witness be excused?
So far as the state's concerned.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may step down, Ms. Cochran. You are excused. Members of the jury, this is an opportune time for us to take our mid-morning break, and we will do so. Please do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Please refrain from viewing, listening, or watching any accounts of this trial. And we'll break for about 10 or 15 minutes. You may go with the bailiff.
Hey, Donnie and Cherie. Hey, guys. Yeah, this was sad testimony. She seems just, I don't know, like, someone said it a while ago. I can't remember who it was. Looks like she's just, feels like she's been used and she's sad. Michelle, it was Michelle, said she just looks so used.
Let me inquire of the defense if the next witness might be the juvenile. Okay,
I anticipate calling Penny Carico.
all right. Can you alert me so that I can alert the media as to when the juvenile might be called?
Certainly, sir.
And for the benefit of the media folks in the back, we do have a juvenile witness that is slated to testify, and I don't want his face portrayed or shown on camera or on screen. And I don't know whether you have the ability to blur that out or not. If you can, please do that. If you can't do that, please show something else on screen. Audio is okay, but I just don't want his face to be portrayed. Are we squared away on that? Okay.
I believe I'll have enough witnesses prior to lunch. So
So it'll be about 1 o'clock.
So that would be the case, and so the media would have enough time to perhaps focus on some other area.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. We'll break for 10 or 15 minutes.
10 or 15 minute break. And he says, wee. Right, Donnie? It's sad. Kids can't worry about kid stuff. Gail, you think so? Gail says she has a lot of resentment towards her father. I mean, I feel that, but I also wonder if it's put on resentment. Like she doesn't really, but in order to get her mom off of this, she's pretending she does. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to think or how to feel. Scooch on by. Why are you doing the loady thing? Stop it. I'm assuming someone said yesterday they think these are his parents. That's probably right. Cherie, I'm sorry to hear your husband's sick. Oh no. What is it up with the husbands and stomach bugs? Let's see. Michelle says, I think she resents the mother for putting her in this position. Mm. Both parents, yeah. That's awful. She said they didn't get along, and it seems he favored her brother, so I could see a reason for some contentment. Do you mean resentment? Brenda, I'm assuming they think that she poisoned him because they're sitting on the prosecution side. I think. Margaret says, see, that's why I could never go and physically watch a televised trial. Some camera dude would zoom in right at my nostrils. mm, exactly, and that would be the time I would need a Kleenex, right? Yomp. Kel said yes. No, Brenda. No, I'm not. No. It's just I uh have been really good about that girl's hair is pretty. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Um I don't know who this redheaded gal is. I thought she was the daughter, but apparently she's not. The daughter is the one that just got off the stand, and then the brother is getting ready to testify. So I don't know if she's a cousin, like maybe the sister's daughter. I'm not sure. But I've been doing really good about taking my Zyrtec at night before I go to bed, but then I forget to take my Flonase during the day. So she does have pretty hair. No yawning allowed. No yawning allowed. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Sorry, I got up early this morning. Early. Early, early, early. Okay, let me zoom it on over. Zoom it on over. Oh, here we are. I wonder how their Chick-fil-A biscuits were this morning. Chicken and biscuits.
All right, do we have any matters to take up at this time out of the presence of the jury?
Your Honor, based upon our off-the-record discussion in the court's office, the state was under the impression that they were going to try and move Dr. Dragovich's testimony from tomorrow to Monday.
That's the
I
state's
didn't want to
understanding?
alert the jury to that fact right away.
That's all.
I did not want a mutiny on our hands.
Well,
So we're going to wait and see what happens. We might have Stanley Selden appear suddenly this afternoon, and he may have different ideas.
thank you, Your Honor.
We'll see what develops. And we still have a lot of witnesses to cover today. We may run over till tomorrow. I've learned never to anticipate. All right, anything else?
That's for the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Bring in the jury.
Bring the jury. Bring the jury. I feel like I need a bell to ring. Like, oh, they were cold? Is that what he said? I missed it. I missed it. Aw, he said better cold ones than none. Aw, daggone it. Oh shoot, that reminds me, Donnie was it
All
Donnie?
right, we continue with the defendant's case. You may call your...
Donnie was earlier in chat. Donnie said she was at Duncan. If you're still at Duncan, I'd take, if they still have I don't know that they still have the s'mores cold brew, but the s'mores cold brew from Duncan was phenomena. Bum ba da da dum. Dun da 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 da. Ba da ba da. Mana mana. Also, their stuffed cream cheese bagels, the mini stuffed bagels, everything bagels are delicious.
Your next witness, Mr. Victor.
I'd like to call Penny Carrico.
Okay, this is the sister. Sister, sister. 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 I got my eye on you.
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat there.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Penny Lowry.
All right. That's what I was going to ask you. Were you known at some point as Penny Carrico?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're one and the same person?
Yes,
Okay. Lowry is your married name, ma'am?
it is.
Okay. I want to ask you whether you know the defendant, Natalie Cochran.
Sorry, Margaret. I was singing that little section of The Color Purple where Suge Avery is singing that to Seeley. Yeah. Was it Seeley? Seeley is Whoopi. What was the sister's name? Seeley and... Seeley and... Nettie. Nettie, yeah. There we go.
I do.
How do you know Natalie?
I'm
Hey,
her
Miss
older
King.
sister.
then I
Oh,
presume you know.
just a little trigger warning. The sister says the R word here in a little bit. Just so blah blah blah. Um, so when you just know that that word is coming up in her vocabulary here in a few minutes, you know, she gets on to Michael, the victim, the husband in the case. She gets on to him for taking all these supplements and stuff and the steroid use or whatever. And she's like, you really need to quit taking that and start taking care of yourself and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, shut up, Penny. Don't be R. And she just says it like it's nothing.
Her late husband,
On
or you
all
knew
of
her late
TV.
husband, Michael Cochran,
Absolutely.
Lord have mercy.
and their children.
Yes.
How well did you know Penny? Penny, geez. How long did you know Natalie?
Oh, I mean, she's, my whole life. I was 12 years old, I think, when she was born.
Okay. She is Natalie Page, right?
Correct.
And you're Penny. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Did you maintain very close contact with Natalie and her family? throughout
Yes.
your life?
Yes.
Did you socialize other than in family settings?
Yes.
What would you do?
They've been on vacation with me before. I mean, we'd do dinners, we'd go to their house, we'd been at the beach, things like that.
Normal family things,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
and then additional vacations, outings,
Yes.
going out. All right.
My daughter went a lot of places with them.
Okay. Let me cut to the chase. Did you know that Michael Cochran was using any substances?
Yes.
What kind of substances was he using?
I don't really know what they were, but he had a lot of things in cabinets and on the counter and stuff. He took stuff. I usually saw him take them in the mornings when I was there.
What was he using those substances for?
To be buffer, bigger, to be stronger.
Why did he want to be stronger or buffer?
He just wanted to. He fought in tough man contests, and he liked.
Hey, Billy.
that's
Good
just the way
morning
he liked
to
be.
you.
And he fought in the tough man contest and things like that.
Did he care about his physical appearance?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And was he trying to be an athlete? Is that what it was?
I don't know so much an athlete as he just wanted to look that way.
Billy, as far as yesterday goes, yesterday there was a lot of, I would think it's worth a watch because we saw a lot of text messages, and the medical examiner, that talks about when they, exhumed his body and all that stuff. So, pretty decent testimony yesterday.
How about a bodybuilder?
I don't know if I would call it that. He wanted his body to look that way, but I don't know that he wanted to be a bodybuilder. But he did like fighting, like kickboxing, things like that.
Okay. How long did you observe Michael Cochran take all these substances?
Years. It'd been years since I've known, since they were together.
Have you ever been able to determine what these substances were?
No, sir. I never asked him. I would just say, please stop, and he'd just, laugh at me.
How frequently did you observe Michael and these substances?
I've known him. I guess known him since they've been together, since they were in high school. So it was often, but I don't really have an amount of time. But it was several times.
How many pills? Pills were those pills that he was taking?
Pills, and I remember him doing like mixing a bunch of stuff like to drink and powders and things along those lines.
Did he also inject anything?
I only saw that one time, and they were at the beach with us. And I came out of my bedroom, and he was in the kitchen. And I can remember the kids they were young enough, they slept together on the sofa bed. And I was sitting on their bed, and he was in the kitchen. I saw him do an injection.
Did you ever see him take insulin?
I don't know what he took. Okay. I mean, if that was one of the things I wouldn't know. I didn't know the names of any of this stuff.
Okay. Whatever was he telling you about all these substances?
He really never told me anything. I said, you please stop that. You've got to stop that. It's not good for you. And he would always just laugh and, say, oh, you're retarded, Penny. It's okay. Or, and one time I told my nephew, I said, please don't ever do that, what your dad's doing. And he would laugh at me. I mean, he wanted to be strong.
Okay. How many pills at a time?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, you said that he laid out something on.
Yeah, well, he had a whole counter full of stuff and a cabinet, and there was a lot. I don't know how much he took at once, or I just saw the times that I was there. Usually, when I saw him was in the mornings.
Do you know where these pills came from?
I do not.
Okay. Did you ever see any packages delivered to their house, or?
I've seen packages delivered to their house, but I couldn't tell you what were in them.
Then you don't know whether these were the pills or anything.
No.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you whether you observe Michael's health over the last, say, 3 years of his life.
Have I observed it?
Have you observed his demeanor, his health, his general appearance?
Yes.
Well, tell the jury about it. Starting, say, in 2017, when I understand he had a back surgery.
A back surgery?
Right.
I don't really recall that. I know that there was a time he got really sick, and we thought it might be mold because he'd worked under the house. They have an older house, and he'd worked in some old houses, and he would tell me that he was just dizzy and felt foggy all the time, or that he just couldn't think. And then the same way I observed him during, when he passed away, he had done that before, and I had seen him in the hospital. I mean, he would throw up, and what I thought, I would just be speculating, but I thought it looked more like seizure activity.
Okay. Did you ever see him on these occasions that you mentioned when he went to the hospital? I presume that was in October and November 2018.
I can't remember the dates, but I think so, yes.
And then in February of 2019.
Yes.
Did you ever see him sick on any other occasions?
Not anything that was abnormal. He was sick, or he would say he felt bad, but typically what I would consider myself sick, he would have days that he would be throwing up or things like that. But the main occasion was that one in October and November.
Did his health improve, or did it get worse?
It got worse.
Tell us about, say, right before he went to the hospital in November of 2018. What did you observe of him?
Just that I really thought something was wrong with their house, because the kids even had like a lot of runny noses and stuff. But he would just say, he couldn't think clear. He wouldn't remember things, and I'd say, "Well, do you remember?" I would say, "I don't know." We'd be talking about something. I'd say, "Well, it's this." He said, "Well, I couldn't think of it," or and I just he just seemed different. He would get angrier, and we just thought he had a lot of mold poisoning.
When he came out of the hospital in November 2018, what was he like? How did he act?
He came through it, and he seemed like he was going to be fine. He was like he was before. He was just himself. The same way. He was still foggy, and I told him, I said, "You've got to quit taking this stuff."
Okay, and Well, and what was his response? Retarded penny, is that what he said?
No, not that Tom. He had before. He'd always laugh at me and just say, "Oh, Penny," and he I don't even remember what he said that time, because I'd say it to him a lot. I'd say, "You've got to stop," and I didn't want Ashton, his son, to start that habit of.
Let's use the initials for
Sorry.
the son. Well, did he ever? Well, when he came out of the hospital, did he express his liking or disliking hospitals?
He was mad. He told me, he said, "If you ever do that to me again, if any of you all ever do that to me again," he said, "I will be furious with you. I'll never forgive you." He said, "I do not want to wake up again in a hospital."
Okay. Did you ever observe him work on any contracts or anything in his business? Do you have any knowledge of that?
I mean, I knew they did contracts. I didn't see him like sitting at a desk working on them, but we had talked about them some.
Well, what did he tell you about his work?
The conversations that I can remember with him, I remember one time we were at his son's football practice, and I was a principal of a school at a time, and I said, if things keep going well, would you consider donating some, he liked, physical activity. I said, would you consider donating some stuff to my school? And he said, yeah. He said, why don't you do some of these too? He said, there's a lot of educational ones we can help you find, and you can work on them as well. And there were a few times he had signed checks to give to me that when when they owed me money.
Did he ever tell you anything about being a gun dealer?
I don't know that he told me, but I knew they were.
Well, what did he tell you?
I don't know how I knew or if he told me, but I just know they had gotten the license to deal with arms, and then they started that business. Well, they bought a location, and then they started fixing that up for, I think he called it Tactical Solutions.
Did he ever tell you that he sold many guns to the government?
I don't recall if he told me that.
Okay. Did he ever tell you that he dealt with the government?
Yes.
And what do you recall him saying?
Just that they were doing government contracts, that was, just that's what they were doing now, and that was their, that was their job, basically. He just told me that's what they were doing.
Okay. Tell us about, did you know anything about their financial situation?
What do you mean exactly?
How did they live? Did they live modestly? Did they live in luxury? How did they live?
I would say between modest and luxury. I wouldn't call it luxurious, but they lived, I felt, better than I did. But,
Okay.
They got to do a lot of things. They had a nice home. They had nice vehicles. I didn't know their financial status per se. I never asked, but they lived well.
Well, they buying any boats or anything like that? Do you know anything about that?
They were going to. I think they looked at a boat or were going to buy a boat. I'm not sure if they ended up doing that, but they were buying some things, yes.
He had plenty of motorcycles, from what I remember.
I remember one motorcycle. I don't know how many he had. And he had a sports car and a truck.
How about did they buy any other properties?
Well, they bought the business. I think it was I call it Eisenhower. They bought a building there. I think they had, best I can remember, they bought a home that they were renting to someone, and then they were looking to buy a house at Flat Top Lake, but I don't think they ever did that.
How about there was some talk about helicopters and
Yes.
hangars. What was that all about?
I don't recall the details, but I just know he was going to, I think they had a hangar, he was going to buy a helicopter, or they were looking at it with his friend, best that I can recall. I didn't talk in depth about that. That stuff didn't matter to me.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that they lived really well?
Yes, yeah. They had more than I had.
Michael was a generous person, wasn't he?
Yes,
He would take people out.
all the time.
He would pay.
He would There was only one time he ever let us pay. I mean, he always paid for our meals every time. Like I said, he took us out a lot, but they did a lot for my daughter. Like he would take her places with the kids.
Where would he go with them?
Oh, he ate out at Chili's almost every day. Like he took her on they took her to Disney World. He ate out every day, so
And he paid for that?
yes.
Took your daughter to Disney World?
Well, the family did, yes.
The whole family?
Their family, yes, took my daughter, yes,
And he paid for it.
yes.
You know that they went to Paris, France,
Yes,
and
yes.
they went to Hawaii, they went to other places.
I don't remember Hawaii, but I do remember Paris, yes.
All right. Where else did they go on vacations?
They'd go to the beach a lot.
Which beach?
I just remember Myrtle.
Myrtle.
Yeah, they went with us some. So, yeah.
Okay. And who funded that? Who paid for all of that?
Well, at the times that I remember, my family rented a condo in the summer because I'm an educator and I was off at that time, and they would come stay with us. But he paid for like lots of our meals and to do things.
Okay.
But that was some time ago. It was
Okay.
when the kids were really little.
Okay. Then, did Michael have his own medicine cabinet in the house that you remember?
I don't know if it was like, I call it his own, but it was the cabinet with all of his stuff. And I can remember it kind of being in the corner because I was hunting for a glass and there was all kinds of stuff in there that was his. And, yeah, I mean, I just knew it was his stuff.
What was Michael's profession as such?
The only thing that I remember him being an IT guy for a little while for Job Force, but that's all I recall.
That's that IT. I hear that IT. What does that mean, really?
I think he helped with their technology if they needed like wiring or that was my understanding. I didn't talk to him much about what he did.
What did he do for the businesses that he had with Natalie?
I'm not sure what all he did.
Okay. Now,
Okay, folks, it is that time. It is math class time for kiddo. So I'm going to jump out of here until about 1:30-ish. And I looked, and it looks like we have about 45 minutes until there's another break. So that should be plenty of time. So anyway, we'll continue. We'll continue on, but I will keep my eye on the chat. Okay, so I'll see you guys back momentarily.
when you well, in February of 2019, what did Michael look like, and what did he act like? What was his appearance like? Tell us about what you saw.
I mean, just thinking back, I don't know how often I saw him that month or what. I mean, he looked like he had done in the past. Do you mean before the day that he that he passed away? Yeah, he seemed the same as I was used to. He was very angry, and I just remember he wrote me a check that they owed me some money, and he said, "I'm leaving it at the front door." Like he didn't want me to come in or see him. And I don't know. I knew he was just mad because I'd asked for my money.
Was he confused?
I don't know. I couldn't say.
Did he complain of any headaches?
Yes. Yeah, he did. He did a lot. I mean, even way before February.
What did he tell you about his headaches?
Nothing really. Just said, he would take aspirin and stuff because he had headaches. But I'm a migraine sufferer. His son is as well, so I didn't think much about anything. He had a headache. And then again, when it got really bad, we thought it was where he was working on this house. And I think he was up underneath it and stuff in the crawl space. So we thought maybe mold or something had gone into his lungs causing that.
You've never seen his medical records, have you?
No, no.
All right. And in February, February 6th, you actually went to the Cochran's house
If that was the day, yes, I did.
when Michael supposedly collapsed.
Yes, I did.
And what did you observe?
Well, I got a call, my niece called me around, I was at work and school was out, like all the kids were gone. She called and said, Mom needs some help, can you come over? And then I went and I helped her get him, he kind of slumped off the couch and I helped her get him back on and she was gonna clean him up, he had an accident. And Nikki went to get his clothes and I helped her with that, and that was around 4 o'clock.
Who was at the house at that time, from your observation?
Nikki and their son, Natalie and myself.
Anybody else who came later?
Later that evening, yes.
Who came later?
She called me around, we were on our way to go out and eat, and I was in the car, and she had called and said, I'm taking him to the hospital, can you please come get the kids? And it was dark, but it was February, so I know it was around 6 o'clock or so, because I remember trying to call my mom, and they're always at church. And so I said, yeah, I'll come get the kids. And when I went there, I think I was the first one in there. And then Thomas and Lacey Treadway came in. And then the last people in, Chris Davis and his son, followed in after that.
Okay. Were you, at least you, aware of the fact that Michael Cochran didn't want to go to the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
He expressed that
Yes.
view exactly to you. He expressed it,
everybody, yes, to all of his.
and Natalie was present when he.
Oh,
said
yeah, yes. When the first episode happened, he told all of us, yes.
All right, if I may have a second.
Certainly.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, cross-examination, Mr. Truman.
Thank you, Honor. You work for the Raleigh County Board of Education?
I do.
And in 2019, what was your job?
At that time, I was a principal,
Where?
Shady Spring Elementary.
Okay. And your current position is what?
I'm the assistant superintendent.
Oh, okay. You were an investor in the defendant's company?
I was.
You lose some money?
I did.
About how much did you lose?
She was my sister, so I didn't really keep records. I mean, I didn't consider it more of it was a business deal, but I just thought she could, it would help me out. So, but when everything was said and done, I felt like it was around $50,000.
Okay. Did you ever get any of it back?
Well, that's what I ended up, I think, not having. So, like, I would give some, and I'd get some, give some, and get some, and then when it all ended, I think I was 50,000 or around.
50,000 around.
In the
Okay.
whole, yeah.
Do you know how much you put in altogether?
No. Like I said, it was just, yeah, I'll go ahead and put me in for this contract, and then I would say, here's some more. I don't really recall. I really don't.
Were your dealings with Michael on these transactions?
Natalie with the money.
Okay. So she controlled all the money for the company, and according to your niece, he was at his computer doing whatever he did with government contracts. But the money side of it was your sister.
He wrote me some checks. Like, he would write them and sign them, but as far as like me saying I want to give for this contract, I dealt with her.
Okay. You got a call, the first call you got was from your niece?
Yes.
Saying we need help?
Yes.
That was after school, and you were at Shady Elementary?
Yes.
Okay, which is how far from the Cochran house, roughly?
Probably about 6 minutes, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's very close.
And you went the first time to the Cochran house that day by yourself?
I did.
Okay. You indicated that Michael was on the floor. Actually, this may not be fair, but was Michael on the floor in front of the couch or next to a couch?
No, he was on the couch, but he was kind of his leg and arm were off of it, and and his head was kind of on the couch part. So I helped her get him up on the couch comfortably, his head on the pillow and his arm, everything up on the couch. And I kind of held a blanket, and Nikki got him some clothes. She cleaned him up. Natalie cleaned him up.
You got me a little bit confused there. Nikki got some clothes and
Yeah.
the defendant cleaned him up?
Yes, so she said, Nikki, run and get him some clean pants, and I kind of held a blanket there, and I just held that while she did that.
Okay. So did you participate other than holding the blanket up over Michael?
No, and I really didn't do that. To be honest, the son kept saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. He kept aggravating her the whole time, and she said, stop, I'm trying to deal with this. I said, why don't you just let me deal with him? And I don't recall if I took him or if I went, but I think I took him to get food and brought him back.
Okay. Now, before Nikki called you, you had heard from the defendant, correct?
I had.
How did she communicate with you?
She texted me.
And she sent you this picture, correct?
She did.
What was your reaction to seeing that picture for the first time?
She sent it, and she sent a text that said something like, he's sick and won't get up, or something along. I just remember thinking, I know it sounds terrible, but I was really busy. There was kids and stuff all in my office, and I remember thinking, what does she mean he won't get up? And I thought, what does she want me to do about it?
Okay.
Then
by the time Nikki called, that was 2 hours later?
Oh, more than that, probably.
More than that, because your school had been dismissed for the day.
Yes.
And what time would that be?
It was around 4. I was working at my desk, and she texted me, and I remember, I think my secretary was still there, because I said, I've got to go, Natalie needs me, and that's the best I can recall. I remember I was at my desk, and Nikki called me.
When you got to the Cochran house in answer to Nikki's call to you, tell us what you remember about what you saw.
Well, like I said, when I went in, he was on the couch, but he was kind of slumped over it. And I helped her get him on the couch comfortably. He was snoring and making noises, and I thought the same thing I thought the first time I saw him in the hospital in November, whenever that was, that he had had another seizure and that he was going to be coming out of that. So I helped her. He had had an accident, so I helped her get him up there, fixed on the couch. And she said, Nikki, go get him some clothes. I kind of put a blanket over him, and then that's all that happened on that time.
Okay. When you saw him in the hospital, was he?
Your Honor, I'm sorry. Unless there are direct questions about this exhibit.
I'm sorry.
All right. Then we need to identify that exhibit for the purpose of the record, please.
It's attached to a text. I cannot tell you off the top of my head. If you give us a moment, we can.
Okay, maybe Ms. Acord can track it down.
Can I go on with the exam while
Yes,
we're
go
doing-
ahead.
Okay. You get to the house, you've described what actions you took to help your sister with her distressed husband. But my question to you goes to when he was in the hospital. You went to Charleston to see the Cochrans?
Yes, sir.
Was Michael sedated while he was in there, to the best of your knowledge?
I do not know.
Okay, but you just know he was not awake.
Correct.
On the 19th of February of 6th of February 2019, when you got to the Cochran's house, was Michael ever in a position where you heard him converse with anybody?
No.
Did you hear him converse with anybody either time you were there?
No.
Now, you came back at the request of the defendant to pick up the kids?
Yes.
And that's because what?
She called me, and we were on our way to dinner, and she called me. I was in the car, and she said, I'm going to take him to the hospital. I've called Chris and Thomas to come help. Can you come get the kids?
Okay. When you came to pick up the kids, who was present at the house at that time?
I think it was just me at the time. My husband stayed in the car, we weren't married at the time, but I can't remember if Thomas and Lacey had gotten there yet or not. I think it was just me, but I know Chris and his son came in last.
Okay.
So I can't recall if they were there before me or me. It's been a
So-
long time.
Yeah. So to the best of your recollection, the defendant was there, Michael was there, the two kids were there.
Yes.
But Mr. Treadway showed up after you got there?
I don't recall.
Okay.
He may have been there when I got there. I remember him and his wife were there, but I can't I just remember Chris came in after I was there because I saw him and his son come in
Okay.
through the door.
And the Treadways might have been there, or they
I
might have
can't-
come
I-
in.
Yeah, I don't
Fair
recall who
enough.
was there first, me or them.
Fair enough. The decision to actually take Michael to the hospital, when did that come about?
I don't know. Like I said, she called me and said, I'm taking him to the hospital. I've called Chris and Thomas to help. Can you come get the kids? And then we were all there, and I remember saying, he is going to be so mad at us. And but we all said, well, we have to take him. So
Did you express an opinion as to whether he should go to the hospital, notwithstanding his prior reservations about that?
say that again.
Sure. Did you express an opinion as to whether he should go to the hospital despite his statements that I don't want to go back again?
Not until everybody was in there. We were all in there, and we were all talking, and we were just all talking, and everyone was talking about how mad he was going to be, and I remember saying, well, we still need to take him, and then I remember Chris saying yes, and then I went and got my now husband we helped get him in the car.
So who actually, to the best of your recollection, helped to take Michael to the car?
Chris, Thomas, and my now husband Mario.
Okay. Whose car did they take Michael to?
Natalie's.
And who was driving the car or were you present when the car drove off?
I was not.
You went back inside, or?
No, I was going to take the kids with me, and they wanted to go with Thomas and Lacey because they have kids their age. And I said, well, we just left because we felt like our job was done there. So.
Okay, so you didn't end up with the kids that night?
No, I did not.
So the
We
last.
left after he was in the car, but I don't know who ended up going or.
Okay. Did you see Michael in the car?
Yes,
Where was he?
in the very back. Like
And
they
what
laid him across it's a long SUV, and they laid him across in the back.
Who else, did you see anybody else in the car?
No,
So you didn't see your sister, you didn't see Chris?
no one was in the car when I left.
Just Michael? Could I have just a moment, please?
Sure.
I don't believe the state has any additional questions. Thank you.
All right, redirect Mr. Victor.
Do you recall in August 2018 when Michael Cochran brought Natalie to your school and told you that he wanted you to deal with him from that moment on?
Yes,
That was in August of 2018.
I can't recall the dates.
Okay. But he told you that he wanted for you to deal with him in the matters of business,
Yes,
with him only.
yes,
Okay. You lost almost 50 grand on this.
that's what I think. Yeah, when I was all said and done.
And you should be really, really mad at your sister,
Yeah,
and I presume Michael, but he's not with us.
right.
And yet it did not color your testimony here today.
No,
Did it? Okay. That's all. Thank you.
I have one follow-up, Your
Go
Honor.
right
and
ahead.
it should have been asked on cross, but it
Okay.
wasn't. What did the defendant tell you actually happened to Michael that day?
I we never really talked about that except in the text. She just said he was sick and she sent me the picture and said he was sick and he wouldn't get up. I just remember however it was worded, I thought, well, why won't he get up? I didn't know if he couldn't, he wouldn't. That's all I remember, that she said he was sick.
Well, but at some point, didn't she tell you what happened to him?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, do you remember being interviewed July 16th of 2019 by a couple police officers?
I probably was, yeah. I mean, I remember being interviewed. I don't know when it was.
Okay. And at that time, you indicated that the defendant told you that he threw up, hit his head, and seized.
She told me I recall the throwing up the first time this happened in October, November. She told me that he hit his head much later after he had been in the hospital in February. She said he had hit his head on the counter when he fell.
And we're talking now about February 6th.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But the throwing up, I can only recall, like I said, it's been a long time, but I remember he was throwing up a lot during the October, November time, even in the car.
And you've indicated in questioning from the defense that you have no idea what supplements Michael was taking.
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all the questions the state had.
Did you ever see any dent on the counter in the kitchen of Mr. and Mrs. Cochran?
There was, it wasn't a dent because it was like corian or something, but there was a divot knocked out of it, yes.
And that's what Natalie told you, that's where he hit his head?
Yes,
And there was a dent on it.
yes.
I may have a second.
All right.
It's at 6, I think.
Questions I have, thank you.
Judge, to clear up the record, I think that picture is in State's Exhibit 6.
All right, thank you. Any further questions of the witness, Mr. Truman?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor, thank you.
May this witness be excused.
So far as the state's concerned, yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Lowry. You may step down. You are excused. Call your next witness, please, Mr. Victor.
I will call Thomas Treadway.
If you will raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. You may have a seat right there.
Would you kindly state your name for the record?
Thomas Treadway.
Mr. Treadway, what do you do for a living?
I'm a freelance graphic designer.
Okay. Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
We met through youth sports. Our kids are friends.
Okay. Did you know Michael Cochran?
Yes, I did.
How did you know Michael Cochran?
Through youth sports.
Was there a time that you would get involved in Mr. Cochran's Mr. and Mrs. Cochran's business?
Yes.
What was the initial involvement that you had with that business?
They would contact me, Mike would contact me about doing graphics, designs, signs.
For what? For the
I
business?
I actually did the sign at TSG out on Eisenhower Drive.
Was he satisfied with your product?
Yes, he was.
And from there on, I presume the discussion concerned your investment in the business, right?
Yes.
And in fact, it ended up and culminated in your investing a substantial amount of money.
Yes.
Would you kindly share with the jury how much you may have invested in that business?
I do not have that information. I would have to go through my CPA to get that.
But it was a significant amount.
Yeah.
Who did you deal with in terms of the investments?
Mike.
What did he tell you that, what you were investing in? I mean, obviously there wasn't like, give us X number of dollars and invest in something. What did he tell you about the investments?
It was for contracts for graphics, mostly.
For contracts for what?
For graphics.
Graphics. And were there any government contracts as well?
Yes.
What else were you investing in?
Mainly that.
Okay. Was there any great promise of great returns?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And you actually, I presume you wrote the checks to the companies, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Through your contact with Mr. Cochran, you kind of learned to know him quite well, right?
Yes.
How well did you know him?
He was my son's favorite coach.
Okay. He was good at sports, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
He was a bodybuilder, wasn't he?
He was very athletic.
Toughman competitions,
Yes,
pulling a hammer, right?
I believe so.
Any other sports activities that he was involved in?
Just through the youth sports.
What-
There was an alumni football game he played in, and that.
He appeared a model of health, didn't he?
Yes.
And yet, what did you observe in about 2018?
Mike seemed really agitated, really not really himself.
When he was himself, what was he like?
Focused.
Focused.
Yes.
Task-oriented, wasn't he?
Yes. Very.
And then around 2018, he started being what?
Like I said, he wasn't himself. He didn't act the same.
Did he have any, well, was he ever confused?
There was an instance where he seemed very confused.
Did he complain about headaches?
Not to me, not that I remember.
When did he appear confused to you?
There was an instance where the families went to eat. We went out to eat, and there was an instance there.
Okay. Is that the Panera Bread situation?
Yes.
That wasn't one of his favorite restaurants, huh?
No.
In fact, he hated it with an unbridled passion.
Yes, he did.
And all of a sudden, he takes you to Panera Bread
Yes.
and says what?
We were sitting around the table together, and he looked at me and said, "You have a hat on." And, at the time, we laughed about it. I was like, "Mike, I always have a hat. I always wear a hat." And never thought anything about that until after. And it kind of was like, wow, that was really kind of weird for Mike to ask me I didn't have a hat on.
Was he ever confused about where he left his car?
I can't say that I would know anything about that.
Was he, you said he was agitated. What was he agitated about?
We never discussed where the agitation come from. I mean, he just seemed really visibly agitated.
Okay. Now, Did Michael, you knew that Michael went to the hospital in October, in November of 2018, right?
Yes.
Did you see him before he went to the hospital in October and November?
I'm sure I did.
Okay. Do you remember what he was like, or what he acted like?
I don't remember instances, but I know that he was pretty sick.
Okay. And he stayed in the hospital on 2 different occasions then?
Yes.
Do you know whatever the doctors told him was wrong with him?
I never heard a diagnosis. We kept the kids, so we didn't weren't involved in that aspect of it.
Did he ever tell you what was wrong with him?
I heard black mold, which was brought up.
Did he ever? He said that he didn't like hospitals, did he?
No, he did not.
Never wanted to go back to the hospital.
Exactly.
All right. Did you ever know that he was using any substances to be more athletic, let's say?
Yes.
What do you know about that?
I don't know the details of what he took. I don't know, but Mike was very concerned with his body and his appearance.
Did he ever tell you he was taking substances?
I don't think that conversation ever came up.
Did you know from any personal knowledge that he was taking substances?
I would just gather that, with his physical appearance, that he would take supplements and various other things.
What kind of contractual relationship did you have with Michael? What did you do for him other than this first contract? Did you have any other work for him?
Yes, I did pretty much anything that was graphic-wise. I handled that for them.
Okay. How did he appear to you in January or in February of 2019?
January was I think was around the time that the Panera Bread, the hacked comment came out.
And from then on, how did he appear to you?
He just, to me, my opinion, that he seemed really wired. Really.
He seemed what?
Wired.
Wired.
Yes.
Did he ever tell you what bothered him?
No.
Did he ever suggest anything to you that he was in any physical discomfort?
No.
Never complained about his health?
No, not to me.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination, Mr. Truman.
Thank you. Mr. Treadway, could you go into a little more detail about you're a graphic designer? Is that what you are?
Yes.
Okay, what does a graphic designer do?
I designed their sign out in front of their business. I did a design for a firearm. I designed T-shirts. I designed baseball uniforms, logos for the baseball uniforms.
Letterhead? Does
No.
anybody do letterhead anymore?
No,
So you never had any involvement with any of the letterhead that the Cochrans might have utilized, or specifically the defendant?
no.
There's a fraudulent document that the defendant sent around on Bank of America letterhead. Would a graphic designer have,
I'd like to object to the characterization of it. We don't know what document it is. We already are calling it fraudulent.
All right, let's just call it a straight-out document at this point.
thank you. A Bank of America document, would a graphic designer create this document?
I would guess.
Okay, but you're saying it wasn't you?
No.
Who's Lacey Treadway?
My wife,
Your wife. And she's a notary?
yes,
And she did notary work for the Cochrans?
yes. To my knowledge,
Pardon?
to my knowledge,
Okay.
yes.
Now, let me take you to the date of Mr. Cochran's collapse, February the 6th of 2019. Were you asked to come to the Cochran residence that day?
I wasn't asked, I called Natalie to see if she needed some help.
Out of the clear blue, or how did that happen?
She had texted me, told me Mike had failed.
Okay. Did she send you the picture with that, or just tell you?
I'm not sure of that, and I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Do you know what time you got to the Cochran house?
It was in the evening, it was late, I taught classes at Concord, so it was late in the evening.
Graphic design classes?
Yes.
Okay. Take a look at this. Oops. Relative to when Chris Davis appeared, according to you, when did you show up?
What was the question again?
Well, Chris Davis appeared at the Cochran house while you were there, correct?
After me, yes.
And so you got there how much before he did?
I'm unclear.
Take a look at your text.
10 or 15 minutes before Chris got there?
Okay. And you don't have any reason to question your text, do you?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. You were one of the people that helped take Mr. Cochran to the car?
Yes,
Okay. And so when the defendant said that, you would not dispute that. You were absolutely one of the people. Right?
right.
Okay. Who else helped carry Mr. Cochran to the car besides you and Chris Davis?
It's really unclear. I know Penny Carrico was there. Her husband, Mario, was there. I don't remember exactly everyone that was there at that time or helped carry Mike.
You just know you did,
I carried Mike, helped Mike carry Mike to the car,
and Chris Davis did.
and Chris Davis.
There may have been some others that helped, but those are the two, you two for sure.
Yes,
Okay. Now, you've indicated you were there about 10 or 15 minutes before Chris Davis arrived. The defendant seems to indicate that you thought Mr. Cochran was getting worse. Can you explain that to us?
I do not remember having that conversation.
Okay, so you don't say, hey, I think he's getting worse, we need to do something?
I'm not a medical professional. I can't evaluate that.
Fair enough. After Mr. Cochran died on the 11th of February of 2019, do you recall giving the defendant some advice as to what she should do legally?
I don't recall that.
Does that help you remember?
Yes.
Okay. And why were you suggesting that she's make that timeline?
In any circumstance, I wouldn't know why you wouldn't do that.
And you were also helping her remember that she checked Mr. Cochran's vital signs, correct?
That's what it says.
She asked for your assistance in mounting her defense, didn't she?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. Did she ask you to look into Michael's phone?
Not that I remember.
Okay, well, that it's been a while back. Let's take a look at this.
Can you folks read this on the screen? Okay, because I can't. But happily, I have a little monitor right here.
Yeah, they don't fit very well on there, but she'll bring you his phone to crack his phone. You remember that now?
I remember looking at the phone to see if there was anything that I could help her with there.
And you were trying to figure out why she couldn't get into it. You asked her some questions about that, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, Mr. Treadway, you were asked to provide statements to the law enforcement people that were investigating your friend's death. What was your response to that?
No, thank you.
So you were not interested in cooperating with the state police, people who are investigating this?
No, thank you.
Michael was a friend of yours?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And you made a very succinct comment about what you would tell them. Remember what you said?
Not right offhand.
It's a
If you-
statement, they won't get shit from me, come to your recollection?
If that's what the text message says, then that's what it is.
And that is the way you felt about it. They weren't going to get any cooperation out of you.
If that's what the text
No,
message says,
I didn't ask you if that's what the text message said. I asked you if that's what your position was. They were not going to get any help from you that would hurt the defendant, correct?
I don't recall ever saying that.
No, you didn't say that, but that's what your position was, wasn't it?
My position was no, thank you.
No, thank you, as in you're not going to get any help from me.
I didn't say no help. I said no, thank you.
No information from you.
No, thank you was my response.
Let's see this again. Well, they ain't getting shit from me. That's your response.
If that's
Not
what-
no thank you. That's your response,
Okay.
correct? That's all the questions the state had.
Redirect Mr. Victor.
Were you informed that Michael Cochran actually locked the cell phone to the point that Natalie Cochran could not get into it?
That was what was conveyed to me.
So some of those messages that we saw in court were the messages sent by Michael Cochran, not Natalie Cochran,
Yeah,
because she had no access to it.
exactly.
And then, so and he controlled that situation, didn't he?
It was his phone.
It was his phone. So then, after he died, she wanted to know what was on it, what the messages were, right?
Right?
And she asked you to help you decode it.
If I could, yes.
It's not a big deal, is it? You
If
didn't
you,
think it was a big deal.
I didn't think at the time that was a big deal.
Okay. Now, the prosecutor asked you, and it's still on the screen, about this. Well, they ain't getting shit from me. Well, would you care to enlighten us as to why?
I was asked if I wanted to give a statement, and I did some research before I talked to them and told them no thank you.
Would you care to show us what type of research you did?
I did some research and I found a document that had some information about some witness tampering. And so I didn't think that that was someone that I needed to talk to.
Witness tampering. Who tampered with witnesses?
There were several names in the article.
But it wasn't my client who tampered with witnesses.
No,
Somebody else tampered with witnesses according to that article, and that's why you refused to talk to the police.
exactly.
What kind of witnesses are we talking about? In this case?
No, not in this case.
I see. So you did not believe that talking to the police officers would be appropriate because they weren't trustworthy. Is that what?
Correct.
And is it true that there were very specific officers that were mentioned there
Yes.
in that article? All right. Okay, that's all.
Anything further, Mr. Truman?
So this is a generic witness tampering fear that you had and not related to the investigators in this case, is that correct?
The article contained names of investigators in this case.
And this article came from where?
The Charleston Gazette.
And they accused the investigators in this case of tampering with witnesses?
Not with this case, the case that they worked on previously.
And it specifically named Heinzman and Bledsoe?
Yes, sir.
And this is a Charleston Gazette article.
Yes, sir.
And you don't know if there's any merit to that or not. That was just a report in the Charleston Gazette.
I'm pretty sure there was a settlement involved.
You don't know if there was any merit to it. You just know what you read in the Charleston Gazette.
Exactly.
Okay. Which means you may not know anything. That's all the questions the state has.
Last comment by the prosecutor.
Overall, any further questions, Mr. Victor?
That's all the questions I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm back. That took much longer than anticipated. They had to write their numbers in blocks from 1 to 100 today. Oh my God, that was like pulling teeth. Jeez. She didn't actually even get it finished. She got lost somewhere in the 30s, I think. Anyway. She can count them, but writing them and, yeah. Anyway. Hey, Skylab, good to see you. And Donnie, I agree with you, ma'am. She says, I thought about this case last night. I would have to say not guilty. My gut is saying she did something, but he was taking all the supplements and steroids and the Advocare products. I feel the same way. I think she did it. But I think that they haven't proven it. I know, Gail, right? It is. I mean, granted, they're like in, like, well, they're like this, you know? So they give you blocks, and some of them are filled out, but some of them the rest of them you have to fill in the holes, right? So it was a struggle. Okay. Michelle. Yeah, it's like, if I sit here at the desk with her, she wants me to help her more than she actually needs. But if I walk away, she does more work, but for shorter bursts. And then the next thing you know, she's over here, la, 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 you know, like doing flip flops in her chair. And yeah, so anyway, it's just kind of a balance, so to speak. My girl, my sweet girl, my sweet girl. Okay, all right. So, hold on a second. Mom. What, baby? Okay, so she wants a snack. Other kid wants a snack as well. So I'm gonna go take care of that for them, and we'll continue rolling on the river, rolling on the river. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay, let me find my spot here.
Any reason to hold this witness?
None from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Be right back.
Any reason to recall this gentleman?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down, Mr. Treadway. You are excused. Happily, ladies and gentlemen, we are right at the noon hour, and we will take our luncheon recess at this time. Please be back in
Okay,
your
good point
jury
here.
room
Good,
a
hold
little
on.
bit before 1 o'clock, and we will try to start up promptly. Do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Please do not view, observe, or listen to any reports concerning this trial or matters concerning this case. Enjoy your lunch. You may go with the bailiff now to your jury room.
I'm coming, baby. Hang on just a second. Let me fast forward this, okay? And then I will be right there. Let's skip through. Okay. So now they are taking their lunch. We're going to rolling, yeah. Yeah. Rolling on a river. Okay.
Witness will be the juvenile.
Let me rewind it a smidgen. Okay, here we go. Now, I will be right back.
All right, are there any matters that we need to take up at this time, Mr. Truman?
None from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything from the defense?
My next witness will be the juvenile, Your Honor.
All right, and it has been raised to the court that we can work it out easily so that his face is not portrayed on camera or on screen. But if he decides to sit in the gallery like some of the other witnesses have done after they present their testimony, his face will be on camera, because there is a camera up here, as you can see. So somebody needs to tell him that he will be shown on camera as being seated in the gallery, because that's where the cameras are pointing.
Very well, Your Honor. If I may step outside for a second.
Okay. And you can explain that to him. His choice is he can leave, or,
Yes, sir. I understand.
okay. Yes. Oh, okay, okay, that's a good solution. Are we sure that he'll be out of camera range, or is it iffy? Okay, well. Okay. Okay. That's all we can ask for. We've discovered that there might be a way that he could sit in the corner, but it's iffy, and his face may be portrayed.
I think he knows all the options, Your Honor, at this point. So with that, I call MAC to the stand.
Well, we need the jury. Bring in the jury, please.
Would the court also recognize my co-counsel?
Indeed, I have already recognized him personally, and I will do so in front of the jury. We're glad that he's alive and well.
Alive anyway.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you can see, we are joined by Mr. Selden, who is alive and well, thank goodness, and is with us hopefully for the duration of the trial. All right, we are still on the defense case in chief, and I would ask Mr. Victor to please call the next witness.
And now I will call MAC to the stand.
Very well. If you'll just follow the bailiff, he'll show you where to go. If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have a seat right there.
Would you tell the jury the first, well, the initials of your name?
MAC.
If you could just scoot up a little bit towards the microphone, thank you.
Say it again.
Say it again.
MAC.
There you go. Do you know the defendant, Natalie Cochran?
Yes, she is my mother.
Okay. I presume you remember your father,
Yes.
Michael Cochran.
Yes, sir.
He is deceased. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
When did he die?
February 11th, 2019.
Okay. Who else lived in your house ever since you've been born?
The only people that lived in my house while he was still alive was me, my mom, my sister, and my dad.
Okay. Now, what was your relationship with your father?
It was, I would say it was good. We had a good relationship.
What did you do together?
All types of stuff. He was my baseball coach, my football coach, led me through several sports. Went shooting together, went hunting together. We just always did stuff together.
Your father was very athletic, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
He participated in all kinds of sports himself, right?
Yes,
As
sir.
well as he coached sports.
Yes, sir.
He cared about his physical appearance
Yes, sir.
and even participated in some tough contests there, right?
Yes, sir. He did a couple Tough Mudders and Tough Man.
Tough what?
Tough Mudders and Tough
Right.
Man contests.
Was successful.
Very.
Did he ever try to participate in any bodybuilding contests?
I know that he did in high school. He used to do a bunch of powerlifting, and I don't know if he ever did any shows or anything.
Okay. Okay. He appeared perfectly healthy on the outside, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, however, he had some medical problems, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember 2017, December, when he had back surgery?
Yes, sir.
How old were you at that time?
10 or 9, 9 or 10.
Okay. Do you know why he had to have back surgery?
Because he lifted we had a big light pole in our backyard next to our garage. He lifted it up just so he could move it to a different location. And that's when he messed up his back.
He did what?
Picked up a light pole by himself and messed up his back.
Couldn't he have gotten any help?
Of course, but it's just how he is. He wants to do everything by himself.
Okay, and he injured his back, and he had to have surgery.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember whether he liked going to the hospital?
Not at all.
After this first surgery, did he say anything around the house that would make you believe that he hated hospitals?
That he never wanted to be at a hospital. He just didn't like hospitals.
He liked doctors?
No.
Okay. Now, when in 2018, there was an episode that forced him to go to the hospital as well. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
You were what, 11 at that time, 12? Oh, wait a minute, 11, 12?
Say 10 or 11, yes.
10 or 11, I'm sorry. What happened to him in October of 2018? Do you recall? When he got sick?
He got sick, and I feel like around that time is when you could just notice that he started to change a little bit.
How did he start to change, sir?
Just forgetting stuff all the time. And he was more aggressive for sure.
Towards whom? Aggressive?
Towards everybody. Everybody.
What was he forgetting? What was he forgetting at that time?
Just like things that he had to do, that he had planned, and he would just forget about it. And he just leave stuff at the house all the time. Just stuff that was unusual. Like he always had everything kept together, pretty nice.
Okay. Right after October 31st, he had to go to the hospital very soon thereafter on November the 2nd of 2018, right?
Yes.
What was wrong with him then? It was just a couple of days later.
I feel like
Do you remember what was wrong with him?
I don't know exactly what was wrong with
I mean,
him.
I'm not looking for medical terms, but what did you observe?
I almost said he had brain fog almost. Like it was just,
Brain fog, you said? Did he complain of headaches?
not that I remember.
Okay. How long did he stay in the hospital that time? Like a week, 5 days?
5
Something
days
like
or a
that?
week.
Do you remember him coming back home from the hospital? You remember that?
Not really.
But at some point he returned home from the hospital, right?
Yes.
How did he act then?
He acted fine. He always tried to paint a picture for the kids, I guess, to just make us not worry about him or something. I don't know, but he acted fine. It was just still the same things of him forgetting stuff and him just, I don't know, I felt like he was less happy.
Was his condition, or condition as you saw it, improving or was it getting worse?
Getting worse.
And let's say in January of 2018, what was he doing that makes you believe that he was getting worse?
Just continue to constantly forget things, and he would have more and more just snaps, like when he would just snap and just get super angry all the time.
Did he ever say that he was in some kind of physical discomfort?
No, not to me.
Okay. Did he look like he was in physical discomfort?
In my eyes, he was perfectly okay. In my eyes.
How about the beginning of February? Getting worse?
Yeah. And he just didn't want to do stuff as much anymore. He wouldn't. We used to always go out and do stuff together, and me and him would, and he just wasn't as active anymore. Didn't feel like doing anything.
He was only 38, wasn't he?
Yes.
Did he look to you like he lost interest in life? Or did he perhaps have some limitations that caused him not to enjoy what he was doing?
I think he was just too worried about everything. He was always worried about money. He was always worried about everything in his life, that he just wanted everything to be perfect for him and us. And I feel like that was his biggest worry.
Okay. Throughout the years that we've been discussing here, your father has taken some medications. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
What kind of medications did he take? Or whatever he took that looked like medications?
He would take his supplements, which was 30 pills a day every morning, and then his anabolics, which are steroids, and
Did he ever take any insulin?
I didn't see him personally take it. No, I didn't see him personally take it.
Did he ever inject anything?
Definitely steroids.
Okay. Now, was there a time when he was supposed to take some medication for any type of seizures, he had seizures, right?
Yes.
Convulsions, did he have convulsions, seizures?
Yes, but I didn't witness them
Okay.
in person, no.
Was he ever taking any medication for that?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm sure that he was,
Now
with
let
all
me-
of the pills that he was taking.
Let me ask you this. He didn't have a very high opinion of doctors, did he?
No.
And if a doctor prescribed something and he didn't want to take it, he wouldn't take it.
You're right.
You don't know exactly what the those substances were in the amount of what 30 pills a day. He had
Yes.
his own cabinet for that, right?
Of course.
Tell the jury about his cabinet that he had all this medication in, or whatever it was.
It was just a really, like, it was a long, tall cabinet, and it just had all of his supplements and pills that he took, and he would get every bottle down every morning, and he would lay it out on the counter, and then I'd stand right next to him. He'd make his protein shake, and he'd take 2 handfuls and take the first handful, chug his protein shake, take the second handful, chug his protein shake, and finish it, and that'd be it. He'd be ready to start his day.
How long has he been doing that?
Since I was a baby.
Okay. Where was he getting all that stuff?
He did shop at GNC a lot, but that was only for his supplements. And then he used to brag all the time about him getting his steroids from Mexico. I wouldn't necessarily say brag, but he would always say it was from Mexico.
What did he get from Mexico? Do you know?
I don't know the name of the steroid, but it was definitely an anabolic.
Do you ever see a bottle of it?
There's a white box that would come, and I never touched it or anything.
Was there anything on the box that suggested that it was not for human consumption?
I never really read it,
Okay.
to be honest.
Okay. Weren't you concerned that your dad was taking some stuff from Mexico?
I asked him for some when I was little, because I asked him what it did, and he said to make you strong. And I said, can I have some then? And he said, no, maybe when you're older. And with my lack of knowledge, with the knowledge I have now of it, yes, for sure. But my lack of knowledge back then, no, I was not scared. I figured that everything that he did, he was in control of. And I felt like he was always, I don't know, I just always felt safe around him, everything that he did.
Did he talk to you in the hospital in 2018 when he was there?
I would like to say yes.
Do you remember a conversation that he had with you and I believe your sister about kind of being very pessimistic about life and his life and the existence in this world? What was he saying?
I can't give you the answer on that.
Okay. Okay. Your father was, his profession was an IT man? Is that what
Yes,
his
sir.
profession was?
Yes, sir.
What did it mean to you?
I remember him doing several buildings, like wiring buildings and always working on computers and stuff. And I just figured he was just a regular guy.
Well, let me ask you this one more thing about this computer business. He was ordering those supplements from Mexico through what channels? Computer?
I would say computer.
Okay. Did you ever see anything that had the name Nootropics?
No.
Okay. All right. So he was an IT man, whatever that means, and he worked on computers a lot.
Yes, sir.
Around 2017, 2019, did he work for any company? Or did he have his own business?
I don't remember exactly when he got laid off from the workforce, but I know they started their business around that time.
They being your mom and your dad?
Yes, sir.
And what business was that?
Their contracting business.
They contracted with whom?
Federal government.
And you remember that?
Yes.
Who was working on the contracts?
My dad.
Was there ever a time when your father was working on the contracts and your mom was reading a book?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it.
My dad and my mom were laying in the room in bed together, and I was in there. I was young, and I was laying in between them, and my mom was watching a movie while she had a book in her hand. And my dad was on his computer, and he was going through contracts, and you could just see thousands of dollars on the contracts. And I asked him what they were, and that was the day that he found a 50 cal contract that I helped him with. And yeah, and it just kept going from there. He just never got off. Even, we were in the hunting stand and he was still on his computer working on contracts.
And your mom was watching a movie?
Yes, sir.
She didn't have anything to do with that contract, did she?
No, sir.
All right. Was your father somewhat secretive about his business?
There.
Obviously wouldn't discuss it with a 13-year-old or 10-year-old on the business level of the MBA and his associates, but what did he tell you about his business?
That the business had to be a woman-owned business so they could get more contracts. And
Why is that?
I don't remember exactly what he said about it, but it was all.
Sheesh. Finally. I'm back. Now that I'm back, I can give Skylab some sparkle. There you go, Skylab. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so much for that. He sounds coached to me a little bit. Okay. All right, we'll get back to it, but thank you so much, Skylab. I appreciate that very much. Very, very much. You feel pretty now? Oh, wee, pretty.
Always that they could get better contracts of it being a woman-owned business. Her owning 51%, him owning 49%.
And that's what he owned as a minority
Yes, sir.
shareholder, or was just a corporation, or was it partnership? What was it?
I think we all know who wore the pants in the situation. He definitely ran it way more than she.
Your father was a dominant figure.
Of course.
Yeah,
Was he a
sounds little
dominant
bit
figure
coached.
in the life of the marriage, or just generally speaking, he was a dominating character?
Both.
Both.
I mean, maybe not. I
By the
don't.
way, was there ever a time when he took Natalie's phone?
Yes.
Why is that? Well, was he?
I'm
well, let me
struggling with it.
start this. Was he a controlling man?
Very.
Tell the jury about it.
My mom was at work. She used to work at Access Health down towards, where's that place? I don't remember the exact location. But she used to work at Access Health, and she had a coworker that hit on her. And my dad pulled up, and he either had a baseball bat or something. Not my dad, the guy that hit on my mom. And yeah, he took that baseball bat from him and handled business. And there's several occasions that are like that. And he would always check her phone. It's just him just being crazy.
Well, was he a jealous man?
Very. He
But
wanted what was his.
Was he also controlling in terms of checking the computers, checking the phones?
Yes. He would monitor my phone. He'd monitor everybody's phone in our house. Everybody's.
So some of the messages
I
that
agree,
were
Kel,
played
very
here
much.
earlier were at the time of August. Do you remember when he took my client's phone?
Not the exact date, no.
Okay.
It was multiple times that he had her phone.
Did he ever use her cell phone?
I'm sure.
Now, your mother was obviously working as a pharmacist at one point, right?
Yes, sir.
It was a full-time job, right?
Yes, sir.
And she was raising the two of you, that is you and your sister.
Yes, sir.
Who was running the house in terms of cooking meals, cleaning, doing all of these things?
My mom.
What was your father doing at that time?
He was always either with Chris Davis or doing something. He's just,
Business?
yeah. They were always at our airport hangar a lot. Those two were.
Who owned that airport hangar?
We owned an airport hangar. It was a big airport hangar, and then I can't remember if we had two airport hangars. We had one big one and one small one, or Chris owned two.
Okay.
It was either one of them. He owned one.
Did
We
you
used
guys,
to go to his a
did you
lot.
guys have a helicopter?
I know we had a plane in there, but we didn't have a helicopter. No, I don't think.
Well, it looks like you guys around 2018, 17, 18, 19, led a pretty good life.
Yes, sir.
You guys had a helicopter, hangar. You could fly, well, you had a plane.
Anywhere.
You could fly whenever you wanted to.
Yes, sir.
Had a couple of motorcycles, right?
Yes, sir.
You were too young to ride them, right?
No, sir.
No? A couple of cars.
Yes, sir.
In fact, more than one car. What do you guys have?
I remember them buying. We had two Yukons, one white one and one gray, or a silver color, and we ended up giving the white one, I think, to Jennifer Davis. It was either the white one or the silver one to one of them, and he had his GMC truck and his Shelby Cobra, which was.
You wanted to drive that, didn't you?
I wanted that car. Yes.
You wanted it.
Yes, sir.
It was an expensive car. It was an antique.
Yes, sir.
All right. How about the houses, homes? How many did you guys have?
We had our house on 4H Lake Road, and then we had he ended up buying a house for Chris Davis's aunt. I think it was her aunt, or somehow they're related, and rented it out to her, and renovated it, and the hangars.
How about boats?
Boats. We had two boats. We had a brand new wave boat before the year even started. I think it was like a brand new 2012 20 boat or something like that.
Do you remember going to a boat sale with your parents?
Yes, sir.
Didn't your father buy 3 of them?
I didn't know that he bought 3 of them, but I know that he had 2.
Oh, yeah, maybe about 2. Okay. But he bought them.
Yes, sir.
All right. You went to good schools, right?
Yes, sir.
Private schools?
No, sir.
No, you went to public schools.
Yes, sir.
You had everything that the kids could desire,
Yes, sir.
materially.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Took some nice vacations.
Wonderful vacations.
Where'd you go?
Hawaii. We go to New York all the time with the Davises.
New York City?
Yes, sir.
Not a cheap place. All right. Okay, where else did you go?
We go to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, that place. We went and saw a couple college World Series baseball games in Omaha. And
Well, how about a place called Paris, France?
Paris, yeah, we went to Paris, France. Been to a few
Beaches?
places. Ocracoke Island. We've been to a few beaches.
Who
Yes.
paid for all of this?
He did.
Your dad.
Yes.
And who did you go with? Your just the entire family, or
The
did you
entire
take-
family and the Davises.
And your father footed the bill for everybody.
Maybe not for the Davises so much, but our family, of course, yes. He took care of us. He most definitely bought their dinner a good bit.
Your father was a generous person, wasn't
Yes, sir.
he? Happy when he had plenty of cash on hand.
That was when he was happy.
And he had plenty of money to spend, right?
Yes, sir.
Except that this money came from the investors. Isn't that true? Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Was there a time when anybody invested in their business? Do you know?
Not that I can completely remember now.
Okay. Okay. On February the 6th, when your father collapsed, you were in school, right?
Yes, sir.
When you returned home, who was at that location?
I know my mom was there. I can't remember if, what's her name? The Hamiltons were there, and I think Thomas was there.
Okay.
Thomas was there.
Did your mother appear to be concerned about your father?
Of course.
And in fact, she went into the vehicle that took him to the hospital, right? Leaving you and your sister with the Treadways, right? When your father went to the hospital that day.
Yes. Yes, sir.
And she was holding his hand as they were leaving, right?
Yes. Crying.
Crying.
Yes.
After your father's death, what was your mother like?
I feel like she was very strong.
She still did her,
For
did her
taking
business.
care. For
She
taking-
still did her business, true?
Yes, sir.
Was she brokenhearted because of the death of her husband?
Very. We all were.
If I may have a second, Your Honor.
Certainly.
These are all the questions I have of this witness, Your Honor. Thank
All
you.
right, cross-examination, Ms. Akert.
I just have a couple questions for you.
Go ahead.
That works.
lifetime, did you ever see your mom give your dad medication? Not Motrin or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you testified that he injected what you called his anabolics, right?
Yes,
Did you ever watch him do that?
when I was little.
And if there was testimony here today that he was taking what you're referring to as anabolics orally, would you call that false?
No, he had droppers too.
Okay. Did your parents share finances when your dad was around?
I object to the form of the question. The word share is very.
Perhaps you could rephrase, Ms. Akron.
Trying to figure out how to rephrase, Your Honor.
Okay.
Are you aware if they spent money out of the same accounts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm sure that he just bought it for. Used his own money.
Would it surprise you to know that both of their names were on a number of accounts?
Could you repeat that again?
Would it surprise you to know that both of their names were on several different bank accounts?
No, not really.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
All right. Redirect, Mr. Victor.
I do not have a redirect examination, Your Honor.
Very well. Any reason to hold this young man?
With the admonitions of the appearance on the camera and whatnot,
All right.
I do not. He can be excused.
All right. Let me explain to you. I have made certain that your face is not shown on camera or on screen. You can step down and you are released. However, if you choose to sit in the courtroom, your face will probably be portrayed on camera. And I'm just giving you that admonition that you can do as you will and as you wish. But you may step down now and you are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
So I can look at that sign right there on the wall that says Raleigh, but I could read it. Really? Judge Raleigh? Sorry, but you done it. As hard as y'all was trying to be careful, you sure goofed that up straight out of the gate, man.
Certainly.
Honestly, Michelle, I don't think they caught his face. I could be wrong. But it did show him walk into the courtroom. Yeah. And his family was like, go back. So.
Members of the jury, I have good news and bad news, I suppose, and I don't know how you'll take this. In any trial, you have scheduling difficulties, especially when you have expert witnesses, because experts are extremely busy, and we do everything that we can to accommodate their schedules. And I ask you, certainly do not take this out on them because they do the best they can, and we do the best we can in terms of scheduling. The situation is such that the defense has no further witnesses to present right now. So we can come back tomorrow. The expert witnesses lined up for the defense, and we have 2 or perhaps 3 of them, are not available until Monday. And rather than to piecemeal this thing and have you come in tomorrow and maybe hear a little bit of testimony and then come back and start again on Monday, I'm going to give you the day off tomorrow. We won't work tomorrow. And you should anticipate that we will have a full day on Monday, certainly with experts and maybe with other testimony as well. Now, the good news is we're winding down this case. You can see that we're making progress, and I think that I can tell you with some affirmation that we'll be finished Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So this is not going to drag on for 4 weeks or longer as we thought at the outset. We're cutting down and streamlining the process so that we can get this to you and get this case resolved as soon as possible. But the upshot of the matter is we don't have anything further to present to you today, so you'll get to go home and watch Jennifer Hudson or Dr. Phil on TV this afternoon. And you don't have to come back tomorrow with the understanding that you'll be here Monday and Tuesday and perhaps Wednesday of next week. This is a very dangerous time, and you see how much effort we've put into this case, and the attorneys have all worked very hard, and we have done everything possible to get this case ready for you. Please do not endanger the process by talking to folks over the weekend. Maybe some of you will go back to work tomorrow, and your co-workers will attack you. They'll want to know what's going on. People have been watching this on TV. They've been seeing it on the news and reading about it in the newspaper, and so they will come up to you and they'll want to find out the juicy details of the case, and they'll want inside information. Please refrain from talking to these folks and with your relatives and with your friends who will all accost you and want to know about the case. And you can certainly put the blame on me. You can tell them that I'm a hateful old judge and that you're afraid of what I might do, and that I have warned you and threatened you, and that you just can't take the chance of going to jail. You don't have to worry necessarily about going to jail, but you can say that if you wish, to get people off your back so that you don't have to put up with folks hounding you for information. Please do not read anything online. Don't do any research. Refrain from talking to anyone, receiving any information of any kind, so that when you come back Monday, we'll have things lined out for you, and we can proceed. I don't anticipate that next week we'll have any difficulties. I think we can have the process flow better than it has, and we can present the case to you until its finality. Okay? Nobody's throwing tomatoes at me, so I'm happy with that. And again, I'm sorry we couldn't get more accomplished today and tomorrow, but that's just the way it is, and I ask you not to hold it against me and certainly not against the attorneys, because we're doing the very best that we can. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you go. I'll have a treat for you on Monday. I haven't decided what it is, so it'll be a surprise. And that will encourage you to come back. You'll have to find out what it is. So plan on being here at 9 o'clock. The case is not over, obviously. We have much more to hear and see. So come back Monday, be in your jury room a little bit before 9, and we'll try to start promptly, and we will work through hard and get this matter concluded. Okay? All right. I'm glad to see smiling faces. Very well. You can go with the bailiff now and have a wonderful weekend. And tomorrow, but it is what I think we're. All right, I think we're all disappointed that we can't go farther today and tomorrow, but it is what it is, and we have to live with the schedule that we have. Is there anything further that we need to place on the record or discuss before we close out until Monday?
That's from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and have a good weekend. Court is in recess.
So, looks like both prosecution and the defense has not been great about getting their people together. Maybe it is weather related. I mean, it's very possible. I don't know. But as far as tomorrow goes, since they won't be back in court till Monday, we'll play tomorrow. I'll play tomorrow by ear. I need to figure out yeah, we'll just have to, I'll have to play it by ear. Tomorrow might just be a hang and chat day. Then again, we might just get on and chit chat about random other cases. I don't know yet. So she's getting hugs from the family. The family. Yeah, you have to do chores now, Margaret. You have to go do chores. You gotta go do chores. So do I, though. I mean, yeah. I need to go do chores. I need to make a list, a grocery list. That's what I need to do. So, I'm going to go ahead and scooch on out of here, but thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate it. Big ol' mucho. And, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. We'll see you back tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know what tomorrow might just be a mishmash of chitter chatter and hanging out for a little bit and talking about random stuffs that's going on. Okay? We might review some Vinnie Politan. Delphi stuff, maybe. We'll take a look. I don't know yet. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for joining today. I appreciate it. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button before you leave. If you're new, I invite you to subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure to click that little notification bell so you get notified each day before we go live. And if you're watching it on the replay, put a hashtag replay in your comment down below under this video. Okay? Okay. You guys have a great night. Stay warm. Stay safe. Thanks again, Skylab, for joining the memberships. You're awesome sauce. See you guys tomorrow. Love you. Bye.